Hello there! Today I'm so happy to be invited by YCFCG. Thank you for the invite and let's get started. So, first of all, a few words about me. I started to really appreciate making 3D with this project. This is the story of Leonardo da Vinci at his youngest age. And it is really interesting. Just have a look at the Vimeo link if you want. The important part of this project was that I learned how to craft cool 3D following a cool art direction. It's not just making random cubes or arches or characters that look okay in 3D, technically okay, like you've made your UVs well, etc. No, it's like making 3D on purpose, like for a design in particular, etc., etc. So it was really important for me to learn about this. I was not, of course, the creator of this project. I was just one of the workers on this. I was in charge of the environment and made a little animation, one character, if I'm correct, some concept art. This was made by a group of 4 students and one master student who initiated and directed the whole project. He's called Aurélien Barche, and he's still making awesome project in 3D. So go check his work if you want. Then so a few years later, I made lots of environments, so still in environments, but for a real-time in VR project. So we were using Unreal Engine 4 instead of 3ds Max for pre-rendered stuff, like with Le Voyage de Léo. And by then, on the Burning Descent, I was also in charge of the level art. So, you craft your pieces and you assemble them inside of a big level, and it's really fun. I've learned also some cool stuff on making shaders by this time. And a really cool point is that I also use a lot Akitsu. Akitsu here is a really cool software to make rig, skin, and animation. So you have a character or a prop or anything you want to animate with more than just a pivot. So you want to have like joints. You just brought it as a FBX or OBJ in Akitsu, and then you just create your rig, skin, and animate it. It's as simple, and you don't need to place controllers and make scripts and know Python, etc. All this stuff, which is technically quite hard actually to learn. Now in Akitsu it's really super straightforward. It works also with every engine. As long as they RAID, FBX, and bone structures and keys. So literally any engines, any game engines. And I've learned about Akitsu like maybe 2 years before making the Burning Descent, but I was not using it actively for animation, just rigging my characters for my portfolio and making cool posings. But then I joined Nukegara, so the creators of Akitsu, like 3 years ago, almost, and 3 or 4, but anyway, and helped them shaping the look of the characters of Akitsu. So yeah, I made a lot of characters there. And I helped a little on the user experience as well, because I was really solid user of Akitsu, and I'm still a solid user of Akitsu. If you want to try it for yourself, really don't hesitate. If you don't know about animation, rigging, skinning, or even if you know about this and you are comfortable with this, really go give Akitsu a try. It's just a fantastic software, but we will talk about it later. And then, of course, Star Wars Redemption. The good point about Star Wars Redemption is that I've started it on this project. Like, not on this project, but in parallel. Star Wars Redemption is a side project, so you don't make it at work, you make it after work. So this means that from the last year of my studies up to now, I've been making this project in addition to my daytime jobs. So yeah, you can imagine like I have holidays, and during those holidays, okay, I just open up Unreal, 3ds Max, ZBrush, whatever, and craft textures, assets, build levels, etc. Just because I love making this project and I love learning new stuff. It's really something that drives me during all this, the craft of this project. This is made not officially, so it's purely fan made, but this is made with a deep love for the Star Wars aesthetics and for the Star Wars universe. Even if I don't know every comics, legends, etc., I really love the few things I've read or watched. And yeah, this is really a universe that speaks to me, and I wanted to pay an homage to this great universe. So yeah. So how I made this project. The core aspects. First of all, it's a fan project. So this means I've got no one that tells me, okay, you need to do this, or you don't do this, or this looks bad, redo it. Okay, I just like I want to model, let's say, a super cool starfighter I loved, or maybe one that does not exist. I can make it, and I just have to make sure that okay, it looks in line with what's existing, and it feels like it still feels like something inside of the world of the universe of Star Wars. So it's really cool. It's a game, of course, a game demo. It's not a finished game, and I don't plan on finishing it someday. So yeah, it will probably remain a game demo, but it's I think already cool to have it. It's also a trailer, so yeah, just a short film about this project. Trailer was a cool place to expand a bit of the story we can't tell inside of the game, and create really cool animations, because in the trailer you're not limited to the gameplay mechanics. So if you want to make a super long sword fight, etc., you can, it's totally fine. In the game it's more difficult to justify without boring the player, etc. So the trailer, yeah, it's made, a cool point is that it's just made using the same assets of the game. Like I didn't create specific assets for the trailer. Maybe specific scenes inside of Unreal, for example, or Marmoset, just to shoot what I did, and making specific animations for the trailer, but the models, textures, and some environments are exactly the same as those you find in the game, except here I control the camera and I decide where the viewer has to look. It's just this. And then we have, of course, an art book to expand even more the lore of the project. So if you want to learn more about it, you can, of course, go on my ArtStation and read every post, every blog post, etc., every project. Might be a bit longer, but you should nail every detail of the project. But if you want to maybe speed this up, just get the PDF art book and yeah, go through it. It's a bit faster, and you'll get really cool informations too. So as it's a fun project, it's also a hobby, so I make it as a side job. It's a learning sandbox. I make whatever I want, and it's an old school 3D platformer, and also a space fight, but old school space fight game. So this is one of the levels. So this is exactly how it looks in game. It may be better now because this is in quite early screenshot, if I'm correct. But yeah, and by the way, this is a new environment that you don't see in Star Wars, so it's totally created for the game. Like it's not inspired by an existing one, it's a new one. Here's the cinematic trailer, so like you really appreciate the composition of the image, etc. yeah, and this is also one of the shots I've animated, and probably the one I'm the most proud of for the whole trailer. This one was shot on Unreal Engine. The previous one, sorry, was shot on Marmoset Toolbag. So yeah, just so you know. And this is the art book. Okay, so a different presentation, but yeah, this is a cool way to just view assets, etc. So how it started? First by sketches. Always keep a sketchbook near you. It's really important if you want to lay out an idea somewhere. It's a really cool thing to have. I actually have one in my bag near my bed, on my desk, etc. I have a draw note. I put them like this everywhere I can. So I never lose an idea, and it's really important. Even if you want to creatively grow up. Yeah, it's really cool. So here's the first sketch of Maven, and by then she wasn't even called Maven. It's just a cool Jedi in a clone armor, or maybe just a woman in a clone armor, not a Jedi. Maybe yeah, maybe if we look at the very last draw, maybe yeah, it was a Jedi actually. But yeah, I love the clone armor and yeah. So a few tips. I rarely plan the future, and I really encourage you to do the same. Like imagining what you will do in a few years can set some goals for you, and it can be cool, but it can also create a lot of frustrations. First, if you don't reach those goals because you didn't know, but they were unreachable by the time you've set them. And maybe it can put a lot of stress and pressure on your shoulders, and you don't want that. So personally, I avoid that. And by then, when I was making the first concept art of Maven, she didn't have a name, first of all, and I didn't want to make more than just a cool drawing about a female Jedi in a clone armor. It was just about this. And later, I made her in 3D. I animated her. I added environments, etc., etc., etc. But I never planned things up. It's cool as it allows you to stay open to creativity. Like because you planned nothing, you can do anything. Also work a little day by day. It's a side project, so you don't need to burn yourself out on this, but you need to keep pushing it forward. So like 15 minutes per day is a good start, and it can kickstart actually your daily task, I would say. So yeah, and as much as you can do breaks. Like if you go out in a campaign or in forest or seeing friends or I don't know, seeing your family, it's cool to keep out of any screens like your phone, your computers, your projects, your mails, your notifications, everything like this. You can just get rid of this. If something really important needs to happen, you will be warned. Don't worry. But it's really cool to, yes, just to take 1 week or two regularly, just to go off and recharge your batteries. It's really important, and it will help you get back with the motivation to accomplish your project. Do what you love also. If you want to make a side project, it means you are not working for someone, so just yourself. So do what you love the most. If you don't, you might end up being frustrated, depressed. I don't know, but all these bad words just stands for something really bad for your project and your mental health, actually. So really do what you love. Be also curious as often as possible, because just learning game art as a whole thing is a super rich journey. So You want to be curious about making characters. You want to be curious about how to make environment. At some point, it's not necessarily everything all at once, but at some point you will go learning these things. So be prepared to learn a lot of stuff. And a cool point, if it's something that you worry a little about, is that everything is connected. Like, start from learning environment, for example. If you start learning also characters, you will be able to make statues in your environment. So your environments will look a bit better. And it's this for all the technical points as well. So yeah, don't be afraid. The more you learn, the more everything connects, and the better you will be everywhere. Don't hesitate to use helps from YouTube, Polygon, ArtStation, Pinterest, whatever. It's okay. It's like using a calculator for math. It's totally fine. Every mathematician use them, and they are super good. So don't hesitate to use others' help. Get inspired, learn new techniques, but don't rip assets. It's a really bad way to evolve. Like when you rip assets, you don't learn actually new skills. So yeah, and you will lose opportunity to put your own soul inside of your own stuff. So yeah, don't do that. So what are the projects I've used behind all those fantastic assets? I used 3ds Max first for art surface, retopo, UVs, level art, and I like it just because you have really cool modifiers. It's non-destructive. It's really a powerful way of modeling. You can have anything done by scripts. Literally, when you think you are overdoing one task, go over scriptspot.com and you might find a script doing this for you. Also the spline-based modeling, which we can start seeing with some plugins on Blender or Maya, but they are paid plugins and they don't do everything you can with 3ds Max. They can do more at some point, but on some it's less integrated with the whole UI. So yeah, I really love this way of modeling in 3ds Max. Since I discovered it, it's really powerful. And the UV-based texturing, but there is the same thing everywhere. It's just like using 2 UV sets to texture your assets. So one first to just give the colors, let's say, of your assets, and one second to give the dirt, etc. So yeah. So for the hard surface rotopo UVs, etc., here's the hard surface look of one of the biggest assets I've made. So in red, you can see all the kit bash pieces I have here laid out. Okay. So I placed them manually, but it didn't take me much time. It's just like placing them and building a little city out of it. When you've made a big panel, you duplicate it, place some elements, remove them, etc. differently, and yeah, you end up having something really organic. Feeling that is really crafted by a human or by someone at some point, not just a machine. And yeah, it feels cool. It feels cool. The different colors stands for different materials here. So you have big ships, you don't want to end up with a lot of textures everywhere. You want to have the least resources involved possible and the best looking results. So really reuse pieces and try to avoid 8K textures, etc. So this is the final look of the asset. Then we have it for level art, etc. Okay, which end up looking like this. Okay, so you can build up things in 3ds Max, then break things and send them to Unreal separately and rebuild the level in Unreal. It's totally okay. But it's cool if you want to just lay out the level and figure out for yourself, okay, it will look like this, okay. When you start a new place, it's always, I think, interesting to just do this. And of course, to make characters, because it's still some, yeah, there are still some cool ways to do this. But to be honest, I prefer ZBrush to achieve characters. So here I've got the helmet of my clone done. I just love it for the character design, of course. When I have really complex design sculpt, it's really cool, it's reactive. The toolset is really oriented towards sculpting, so you have a lot of really cool tool. If you pass by the really crazy interface of the brush, which is probably the worst one ever made for a 3D program, and I'm really serious about this. I've learned a lot of 3D softwares, and ZBrush is by far the worst. But once you get accustomed to this, it's really cool. It just takes a lot of time to dig into this, and yeah, that's probably why a lot of people gives up. Then so you have character art like this. So same as 3ds Max, you start as a low poly model, then you use the dynamic subdiv, but once it's done, once you've reached the cool shapes, etc., you can merge all your subdivisions and start sculpting in ZBrush for the finer details like close wrinkles, etc. It's really, really, really powerful. Or if you want to damage your asset, etc. And of course, it's cool to just sculpt rocks. Okay. Then we have 3D Coat. 3D Coat is like the Photoshop of 3D. You have the same tools and more actually, but you can turn around your model easily. You can do this in Photoshop, but it's quite clumsy and not really well integrated. And of course, 3D Coat is really smooth. Like you can turn around your model. It's fast, etc. It doesn't lag. It crashes rarely, actually, really rarely. And when it crashes, you can always retrieve your files, etc. So it's really a reliable tool. And you have a lot of really neat features you can't find anywhere else, even in Substance Painter or Marmoset Toolbag, since you can paint in Marmoset. 3D Coat has really a super powerful and artistic-driven set of tools, which is why I really like it to make my textures. All the game has been textured using 3D Coat, and I textured it, of course. Good to mention. So I use it also on so everywhere, so characters, environments, props, you name it. Okay, and you have also the tiles texture. So depending on what you need as a tile, you can start directly in 3D Coat, or you can like create your tile in ZBrush or 3ds Max, bake out a normal map, and then just paint all the details inside of 3D Coat. Then we have Akitsu. Akitsu, so it's a software made for animation. You can use it to rig skin. You can use it for gameplay and cinematic. It's cool because it has a keyframe mindset, sorry, meaning you are not expected to use mocap inside of this software. You can if you want, but the goal here is to allow you to craft your animations from start to finish. So you can really alter the look of the moves of your characters, and it's really important for a project to me, like to control everything you will show to your viewers from start to finish, like be it the textures, the animations, the lights. It's cool if you can interfere, if I may say so, as an artist at any point. So yeah, like it's really cool for that. You have also a super fun refresh rate. Like when you play your animation, you can turn around it, you can edit it, you can modify the curves, you can modify like everything you want, and it still plays the animation in real time. And it's not a real time like 24 FPS. It's the frame rate of your screen. Like it's totally crazy how smooth this software is, but it's also quite logical because it does just rigging, skinning, and animation. It does not care about rendering with lights, shadows, etc. It's really reduced to what it should achieve at some point. And so it's super fast to process every frame. So yeah, you have a very responsive tool, and it's really important. You have also an Animbank, which is a list of animation you can have per character. So for example, if I take the droid Ecars for for the game. All the animations we made, it's not about like having one file per animation, it's like one file for the character, and then we have all the animations. And when you export the FBX, you export just one FBX, and then Unreal retrieves all the animations with the good names, and it separates it inside of the engine, and you retrieve your work really easily. And if you need to update one animation, just export this animation, replace the FBX, and just update the asset inside of Unreal Engine, and it just updates on the way. It's really, really, really cool. You have also cam-based ghosts, so camera-based ghosts. Ghosts are like this, so you can track the character position on every frame you want, and you can see in betweens, and it depends on the camera. So if you want to do this through a shot, you will precisely see how your character will evolve through the image composition. It's really, really powerful. It's like if you had motion trails, but for every pixel of your character. So you're sure of the movements you will display at the end. You have no surprise, and you can just play back once you've adjusted the ghost, etc. Yeah, it's really fun to use. Okay. You can rig whatever you want, of course. So here I've rigged the guns, the armored helmet, the lightsaber, the eyes, the face, the body of the characters. The viewport, as you can see, is really clean. You don't have a lot of buttons everywhere. You can customize it if you don't want to see many windows and just keep the one you are interested with. Let's just close the others. It's really, really a cool thing. And yeah, as you can see, it's really anything. You can rig anything. So yeah, if you want to try this software, I encourage you to go back at the beginning of the video. I put the link of the website where you can get Akitsu. It's totally free now. So yeah, just try it for yourself and see if it can help you as it helped me, like shaping this whole project. Even if you don't like animation, by the way. Like I didn't particularly like the animation, but with Akitsu, yeah, let's be honest. So, Marmoset Toolbag, I used it for texture baking, cinematic renders, portfolio showcase, texture set transfer. So, yeah, it said what it does. You render stuff in real time, and it can be animated, so it's pretty cool. Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with this Marmoset Toolbag. And the good point is that to get a clean result, and unlike in Unreal, you don't need to have a lot of refining parameters, like you don't want to have the motion motion blur. You don't want to have like I don't know, you want some crisp look, etc. Marmoset has internal stuff that does a lot of magic already, and yeah, when we render something out of Marmoset, it looks really, really sharp, really precise, really yeah, really beautiful. So yeah, but it has some limits, like you can't render, for example, particle effects. You can place a cloud on a plane and animate the plane, so that's okay, but you can't like use a particle source to create a sprite or stuff like this. Is impossible in Marmoset, so or not possible yet, maybe one day. So depending on the shot you want to render, maybe it's better to use Marmoset or Unreal. So you choose between those. Okay, so here you have Unreal, so much more powerful. Actually, you can reuse also all the assets you've made for the game, since the cinematic is made inside of the folder of the game. So we can reuse levels, we can reuse any props. We can yeah, put fogs, put VFX, etc. And yeah, it's really powerful. So for the biggest shots, I've used Unreal Engine and the project assets to yeah, make the animations made on Akitsu much more beautiful. So how the project restarted in Unreal? Because even I started it in 2012, so late 2012, but the game did not came until 2016, and it came for one reason. It was because of Akitsu, or thanks to Akitsu, to be fair. So I was just animating Maven between games of Overwatch. So you probably knew about this game. So 2016, it's the coming of Overwatch. So we were all playing this, and I was getting killed a lot of times. But you know, when you die, you have like 10 seconds before you respawn. And what I did was, okay, I die, I quickly alt tab to Akitsu, just to quickly change parts of my posing or create a new key, etc. And then quickly go back to Overwatch. So, you know, you go back after work, you play, and while you play, you try just to animate a little of your character. So by this time, I've made Maven, I've made the clone phase 1, I've made some crates, as you can see, some weapons, and the Venator. But that's it. I didn't make a Unreal project. I didn't make like a big ground, etc. Like everything that was existing was shot inside of Marmoset by this time. But once I've made a few animations on Maven, like a idle, a walk, a run, and a jump, as I was like, okay. So now I have all the basics animations just to make her run inside of a game. So why not do that? And I was lucky enough to have a game designer that helped me like getting her inside of Unreal, so having just the Maven that could walk, run, and jump. And from this point, so what you can see here is the very first level of Star Wars Redemption, where you have Maven that we could control by then. You can see maybe big shadows of a Venator, but you can't see the Venator itself because it's high in the sky. And this level is actually the Venator hangars level, but at really the beginning. And I used it as a level to test if my assets meet with each other on the art direction. So at first it wasn't even a level, it was just a global check level. So yeah, I didn't plan things out, remember, so yeah. But when you have this, you know, having your character animated that you can control inside of a real-time game using the WASD, it's just crazy. Like you go from just creating 3D to playing your 3D. It's like when you put VR and see your own level. At first, it's really a really powerful feeling. So when I was at this point, I was like, okay, I can do a lot of stuff. It's not just about making Maven. It's about making much more. I can build worlds around Maven. So let's go. First world was, as I said, the Venator hangars. So it looked like this. You can still see some of it in the actual version of the game. Like the lights quite didn't move much from here. Like the sun. It's just more powerful, but yeah, the ground changed a lot because it wasn't reflecting like a Venator hangar ground. But the structure of the level didn't move much. And I built around this to have my Venator hangars. And yeah, all this, I made them like 1 or 2 weeks after the very first day of having Maven in Unreal. Because you're super excited at this point, so you want to build assets, you want to expand your level, and it's really a crazy moment and a very cool moment in development of a game. And then how I built levels, because this first level was a patchwork of a lot of stuff I brought to Unreal, but then you want to create more levels, and yeah, how you start. Typically, when you make levels for a game, you expect someone to make a level design with big blocks of gray boxes and game metrics, etc. And to me, this was a really, really annoying way to do things. We tried to, but when you have the artistic vision first, and when you don't really know everything about the game design of your project, and when it's you want to explore Unreal and not just create a game because you feel like, oh, I know everything. Well, you know nothing. So going with boxes is really, really hard, and it's not motivating at all. So a good friend of mine, which worked with me on Le Voyage de Léo, so she was the character artist, so Julie Pin, if you want to see her work, she's a tattoo artist now, a really great tattoo artist, by the way. She told me, okay, but you have all the rocks, the trees, etc. Why don't you just craft your levels out of it directly? Just don't worry about boxes, etc. Just don't use them. Use trees, rocks directly. And so, yeah, this confirmed something I just felt inside of me, like I don't want to start from blocks. I want to start with nature assets, with finished assets, just because I have them at some point. I wanted to build them, and then to create levels with them is really the logic thing to do. So the levels were made this way. So everything you see here has not been made like with a first level design layout and then level art, etc. pass. No, here everything has been made just by using like Lego bricks that looks already beautiful, but once assembled gave you a cool look, a cool place, a cool volume, and yeah, that's the logic behind making levels in Star Wars Redemptions. It's all about making cool volumes, making cool places you like to explore, and that's it. It's not about building blocks, etc., etc. I know it's maybe an unconventional way to make levels, but it's the one that speaks the most to me, and that's how I actually build those levels. And then once you've made the core part of each levels, feel free to explore, to expand them. The goal is always to start with something that feels like something we know from Star Wars. For example, the archives or Geonosis, you can see reminiscent stuff from the films or the series, but then you can add up to this in the same logic and create your own ideas, and yeah, and mix it up and have your own levels at some point. So if you go inside of the archives, for example, it feels like the archives if you walk on the main alley, but if you go out, you still feel like you are in the archives, but you are more in Redemption. And this is the main point of the project. It's not just a fan game and a copy of everything existing, etc. It's inspired by first. It's not a copy, it's inspired by, meaning it doesn't need to resemble one with the original material, and meaning it can take some freedom. It can. It's totally okay. And also, if you look even bigger, you don't want to have all the game about running inside of starfighters. You want to run inside of temples, inside of Geonosis, inside of a forest for Lumberia, etc. To have different time of days, etc. So yeah, and 5 different enemies. So here is the Venator hangars. So it's mostly hard surface, it's for testing assets, etc. See how Unreal, how far it can handle huge assets, etc. So you can really try to build some stuff like this, and it's your first step into making levels. Then you have Geonosis, where you want to go a bit more serious. So first, you will draw what you want to craft. At least for me, it's really a great freedom. Like to trade with this, you have no limit. You make what you want, and then you try to recreate this in 3D. But at this point, you draw what you want. It's the first idea. It's the first impulse on your environment, and it doesn't need to be respected at all costs. It's just a cool idea of what you want to craft, and then you craft it in 3D and see if it can be enhanced, maybe enlarged, maybe darkened, maybe you want to have some colors like this, etc. But the concept, the initial concept, I didn't put colors on it, I didn't put really shadows, etc. So you don't have the mood, you just have a idea of the architectural place and the logic behind it. So basically a hole of rocks with pipes and puffs of gas everywhere. And sometimes you have some ideas of, okay, I want to have a bridge broken over a big hole, etc. That might make some fear to the player. So yeah, it's really about you and how you feel when exploring those environments. So yeah, you make them, you explore them, and you adjust them, etc. on the fly. Then we have Lumberia, so we had the panels, we had the rocks, now we have the trees and the magics. So really try to make something quite close to what we have on Earth, like the pine trees, for example, or simply the rocks with the grass, etc. But those flying blue things, we don't have it on Earth, so it's really cool to mess with this. So yes, you add some details like so. You also face up some cool challenges like how to manage the noise through distance. Like you want to have good distracting details close, and when you go far away, you don't want to be distracted, but still to have the idea of, okay, there is a forest far away, and it's okay. So what I did here is simply in shader in Unreal, you just switch from having the textures to having just a simple gradient. You still use the alpha, but you don't use the base color anymore when the tree is far away. And this is just using a distance node. It's super simple to use. So you have a black and white, you use a linear interpolate, and bam. It's just this. Same for the grass, you can mimic some blocks of grass using a tiling textures of chisels. You tint it in green and it does the job. And for the close parts, you have the real grass doing this, etc. Also, for the very big assets like this cave, where you have some lights coming in some surfaces, you don't want to see the tiling normal maps. Okay, because it will underline the tiling textures and it will look unconvincing, ugly, etc. So what I did is use the vertex color to diminish the normal map where I don't want it. So I can like paint, okay, here I want some normal map, here I don't want normal map, etc. And just visualizing how good and convincing it looks while just painting it. Vertex color is really a super powerful tool to use in 3D, especially in environment. And later, I had to do this big temple. It took me like 2 or 3 years to nail it right. But when you make a environment like this, you want to find first a architectural language for the temple. So here, triangular based, octagonal pillars. It was the base, the basis, hexagonal pillars. Sorry. But then I was like, okay, if I were on Lumberia building a temple for me and my folks, what would I do on my architecture that looks like, okay, I'm on Lumberia, I'm from Lumberia, I need to really show it. And if you look at the shape of the columns, you can see that you have some petals, some flowers at the top of it. Because the temple is in the middle of a big field with a forest, etc. It's very natural, so you need to feel it inside of the temple. And from this point, I knew I had, okay, I got the design I wanted for my pillars that really did the job. But it really took me a lot of time to just figure this out, in addition to the fact that I was not working 100% on this every day. I had all the other levels, the characters, the animations, the managing of the team. Even if it's a small team, you have to decide, okay, one guy could work more on these animations, so you can have it for the game design done by this guy, etc. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff you need to manage in addition to your daytime job. So it's really a crazy project, but yeah. And in the middle of that, trying to find the look of your temple. So of course it takes some time, but it needs the time. It needs the right time to get good. If you at some point, if you need 2 years to get a cool design, don't just get okay with 6 months with a good enough design. It's bad. Just keep pushing it until you are satisfied with this. And I'm not talking about overworking on an asset. It's just, yeah, make sure you are okay with what you are making and it feel right. It does not need to feel perfect, but it needs to feel right, integrated with the rest of the environment or character or whatever. Okay, and this was also a little hiding place I put inside of Lumberia just for fun. But I really love this place. Then we have the Lucro Hulk. So it started like this, so you can figure out the volumes. And then you enlarge the corridors and retrieve the good colors, the good shapes, etc. To have the episode 1 feeling. And of course, once you've done this core part of the level, you can expand it to your own interpretation and have this maintenance corridor. Same for the temple. If you look at this main alley, you feel that you are in the episode 2. Like you have the tables, the columns, the statues, etc. But even the statues are not those from the episode 2. These are Easter eggs to projects I did. So yeah, but if you look at it, you have stylized characters in the art direction of the project, of course. You have a bust of Qui-Gon Jinn because I really like this character, and Thomas Schomel, who did the animation of Maven, he's just a big fan of this guy and Darth Maul, of course. So yeah, it was a good Easter egg for both of us. But if you look at the trees here, I don't remember seeing them in the Clone Wars series or in the films. So these are an addition I've made to this place. Same for these side corridors with the big lamps, the big chandelier. You can't see them in the films or in the Clone Wars, but they add up to Star Wars Redemption, to the project, so I made them, and they fit perfectly with the mood of the temple. And of course, you also have the server's room, because it's super cool to have them. It feels like you are in the temple, but in a different place, so yeah. And it was not very difficult to achieve, so yeah. I won't say it was free to do, but almost. And then we have the bonus levels. So these are some areas you have a lot of fun inside of. You have different environments reused, but the goal is just to have an infinite loop of fun. And of course, the flying levels, because to me, having this game without flying levels would be a bit problematic. I love just the flying levels of the old Star Wars Battlefront from 2005, or even the first Lego Star Wars, if I'm correct. You had the Battle of Coruscant at some point, and X-Wing Rogue Squadron, if I'm correct. So yeah, I felt like, okay, it would be super cool to pilot the N1, the ET2 Actis, Axe 117, etc. So I brought this. And also I wanted to see if I could put a lot of Star Destroyers with their heavy poly counts inside of the same level and see how well it could run. And actually the Battle of Coruscant, as you can see in the game, runs totally fine. It's probably one of the smoothest levels you can have in the game. So yeah, super cool. Then we have a little topic on varying the character. So for Maven, it's super simple. You just vary the look of the armor. So you can paint different things up. You can really create a lot of sets, but I made only 3 for this version of the character. Also, I changed the tattoos on her face. If you look closer, I also created some Jedi outfits for her. So you really feel a different skin for Maven. Both of these are using the same skeleton. I just put some more bones on some specific features for each, but yeah, this relies on the same skeleton, so you don't need to load a new skeleton if you change the outfit. It's really cool. Then we have the clone troopers, which populates some of the levels. So you have them on Geonosis and the Lucro Hulk. These are the phase 1, so the good guys, the good clone troopers. Yeah, same as for Maven, I did some different paint jobs on them to have different kinds of lieutenants, of captains, etc. Then you have the same logic, but for phase 2 clones. The center one is the evolution of the 414th clones we saw just before. On the sides you have the 501st and the Shock Troopers, which are really well known from the films and the series, and I wanted to have them just because you fight the 501st inside of the temple, so I needed to have them. And because the Shock Trooper are they are really impactful, like the big red blocks like this. I really love this design, this armor patterns. So yeah, and same, you can vary as much as you want. Just because you have the blank clone, you can paint what you want. Just need to justify it inside of the game. So you can make every clone, but if you have no levels to justify this, it's a bit of a shame. This clone serves as well as ARC Troopers, so you have the same base colors, but it's a evolution every time of the base war paints. So I invite you to go back and forth to see all the differences if you want. And then yeah, the goal was to have them as enemies and to have them using varying outfits. So if you take a look at this, you can see all the split parts that you can have in addition to a classic clone. So you can have a jetpack or not, you can have a collar, you can have an armor in addition to your armor actually. You can have several various versions of pouches. You can have protection for your legs, your arms, etc. Well, a lot of stuff that helps getting various versions of a clone trooper and of a clone ARC Trooper, so you can vary actually your enemies as well. It's really cool. So in game, when you launch a game and you have clones against you, each time one pops out, it chooses dynamically between having a jetpack or not, having a collar or not, if he's actually a ARC trooper, and you have different ARC troopers against you every time. It's super cool. So here, just to bring a more a greater feeling that you are playing in a Star Wars universe or fandom universe, but you know you are in Star Wars and not in the Lord of the Rings or Star Trek. Having these astromechs are pretty essential to me, as well as the battle droids. These were the first enemies we crushed inside of the game, so it's really cool to see them like this. You just don't crush the one on the right because it's a good droid. You know, if you've watched the Clone Wars, yeah, it's a cool Easter egg. And then you have the droidecast, which still needs some work before being in the game, but animations are done, the models are done. We just need to program the logic, etc., and it should be fine. Then we have the Jedi. So these are your allies in some levels, and we wanted to have them unique, kind of unique. Like you feel you are not playing with clones, but with real unique beings. So to do this, I wanted to make various outfits first. So we have those 3 ones. And then splitting up these to have like long or short sleeves, 3 pairs of boots, having or not the cloth strips over the body, and having different hairstyles, plus skin colors. And with all that, you can have a various version of your characters. Same for the male. And you have also the bird that you can change. And in addition to this, you can also vary the lightsaber hilts. And of course, lightsaber blades color. So you can have a lot of mixes. These hilts, by the way, as well as the Jedis, and everything in the project are created for the project. So whilst you can feel some hilts or recognize some hilt details, etc., from the original, not original trilogy, the prelogy, the prequel, sorry. These are inspired by, but created for Redemption. Like these sabers are unique to Redemption, as the sabers of Maven, etc., etc. And I really had fun like making those designs. And I think at some point making lightsabers, as it's a well-known object, is a great way to learn a 3D software. It's just a side note, but yeah, those lightsaber, by the way, I sculpted them. So it's the subdiv workflow, but I made them using ZBrush for the high and the low poly. I only made the UVs in 3ds Max, but yeah, high and low ZBrush. And you can totally do that using the dynamic subdiv. It's really cool. And last but not least, to finish this presentation, I just want to tell a few words about the menu, because it changed a lot between the first version of the demo and the last one. So here you have a bad UX and UI design. It's really like centered, blue, not, yes, a lot of things just doesn't work. Even the typo, the font, sorry, is pretty bad. So yeah, but this was the very first iteration of the demo where we had a build, actually, because for years we didn't have one. Like when we wanted to test the game, we had to launch Unreal and play it inside of the engine, which kind of sucks. But we didn't have another way to do this. And at some point, we made a build of the game so we can test it in standalone, test it on other computers than those using for development, just to see if the performances are good or not. And yeah, so from here we've made just a quick main menu to have it. And then here's how it looks today, or at least a few months ago, because I reworked it a little, but yeah, so the composition looks better, the lighting feels better, even the environment around Miven describes more what you are about to play. So you have the starfighter, the star destroyer, sorry, in the background. You have the little ferries that you will have to catch. You have the Geonosis floor and the Lumberia mountain, so you can see, okay, I will be on Geonosis and the Lumberia stuff, etc. It's really cool. And even the menu has a little deformations, little torsions, so it feels more dynamic. And it's in French because I'm French. Before that, I've made it only in English because it's the common language, but I wanted to have a French version as well. So yeah, you can change now between French, English, etc. This is just for text mostly. So yeah, this is all about this little project. Thank you for listening. I hope I've not been too long. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter, Station, Instagram, DeviantArt, anywhere you can imagine, at least. I should be there by the name of Vixod14. If you have a doubt, because I've seen some fake accounts, don't hesitate to ask me on either of those links, because I visit those pretty often. So you'll be sure to have the real me there. Yeah. And yeah, so that's it. I hope you've learned a few things on how I crafted this game, or how to craft a game in general. Please keep in mind that there is probably no just one way on doing games at all. Like there are a lot of paths you can follow to create your own games. You can get inspired, but it's okay if you don't use the same thing. It's okay if you follow a really established way of making games. It's totally okay. And it's okay if you take years to make a game as well. Please remember that the Star Wars Redemption you can see here took me like 10 years to achieve. Of course, I was alone. It's better if you have a lot of folks helping you. But yeah, I was not totally alone, but to create assets, to integrate them, to build levels, to make textures, to, yeah, all that, I was alone on this. And yes, it's really hard work, but if you take the time, you can achieve it. It's totally doable. Okay, so I wish you a happy new year, and may the force be with you. Bye bye.